Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It is Carabao Cup 4th round day, and I love the Carabao Cup, and I know that you all do as well. Yesterday was the 5th anniversary, 5 years since we were last knocked out of the Carabao Cup. And of course, this year we're going for 5 wins in a row. You can see the players arriving. There is Cole Palmer. We will know exactly 1:45 if Cole Palmer starts tonight and what the full starting 11 is going to be. And there is Raheem Sterling and Scott Carson arriving at the London Stadium. Good evening, everybody. My name is Natalie Pike, and I am at the Etihad Stadium, not the London Stadium. We are in our studio for Matchday Live, and I'm very happy to be joined by 2 of my absolute favourite former City players. I'm not just saying that. I truly mean it. It is Andy Morrison and Shaun Goater. Now, we will have the full team news for you bang on 1:45. Don't go anywhere. This is the place for your immediate team news and reaction from 2 former City legends. So, gents, before we talk about tonight, before we get the team news, I just wondered, what did you make of the weekend's game? 4-1, Shaun.
Yes, typical City. We were brilliant in how we moved the ball, passed the ball. I thought it would be a tougher game, but again, the boys were up for it and played absolutely brilliant. I was well pleased.
Andy, good game? Enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it followed on from the midweek game where they were exceptional. And, it's a real feel-good factor at the minute, playing really good football and most importantly scoring goals, because we'll always play football, we'll always create opportunities. The key is taking them, and at the minute we seem to be in form.
Any other results that stood out for you this weekend, Shaun? Any other games you watched? Enjoyed any other games?
Well, yes, I did. I happened to watch a little bit of Liverpool and United, so that's a little bit of that sort of stuff. But going back to the Brighton game, again, the way City moved the ball, passed the ball. I had to squeeze that in. Sorry, had to just squeeze that one in.
Me too, Shaun. Me too.
But yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm looking forward to tonight as well because, again, I think it'll be a tough one for us, but excited about it. Carabao Cup.
Yes, we love the Carabao Cup. Considering Brighton obviously were in 4th, well-deserved 4th at the point when we played them on Saturday. And I'm quite an optimistic City fan, but I wasn't expecting such a dominant performance, Andy, were you?
Well, it seems to be a similar pattern of late. And the key is always, us scoring goals early on when we get them opportunities. And it became an easy afternoon. And afterwards, in hindsight, yes, it looked a comfy afternoon. But, we had to show a lot of respect for them. And obviously went about it with a strong team. But we've got them goals, which are always the key. And it's very, very difficult for them then, because we will dominate the ball from there on in. And very difficult for teams to score if they haven't got the ball.
Yeah, especially when you've got players like Phil Foden, Shaun, playing against you. I mean, we talk about him all the time. I'm happy to do it.
I know.
There's no words. I get to the point. We're just repeating ourselves, but it's wonderful.
Really excited to every time watching him. He just excites me because he affects the game and the energy he brings. I mean, he was one that really plays with Grealish and his performance as well. He's starting to come more to the fore. Jesus. And Gundogan was one of the goal scorers. Him always popping up. It's just a joy to watch City because I always feel as though I'm learning something every now and again when I watch City play. But I thought it would be a really tough game. I thought Brighton would be a footballing team. But yeah, great result for us.
Yes, a great result. Now it's time for your team news for tonight's 4th round Carabao Cup game against West Ham. And I can tell you that there is 9 changes to the team that started on Saturday against Brighton. So, your 2 players that keep their places are Kyle Walker and Ilkay Gundogan. Everybody else changes. So, you can see there that in goal is Zach Stefan. Then Walker, Stones, Zinchenko and Ake. Then moving into the midfield, it's Fernandinho, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Sterling, and the big news for me is that Cole Palmer starts for Manchester City tonight. 19-year-old Cole Palmer starts in the 4th round Carabao Cup game against West Ham. So the subs bench for you, it's Carson, Diaz, Jesus, Grealish, Laporte, Rodri, Cancelo, Foden and Edozie makes the bench as well. So that is your starting 11 for tonight's game. So as we said, there are 9 changes from the team that played against Brighton, but I'm so excited to see Cole Palmer. So gents, Andy, what is your initial impression of that team? 9 changes. Were you expecting that?
The thing that I got to smile at is, I wasn't aware it's 9 changes. and yet we look at the strength of that team, and we expect that team to go and win. And then I look to the side of it, and I see the bench, and again, it's changes, it's freshening things up. A couple have stayed in, but it's a very, very strong team. And coming to the game tonight, I was mindful of, I spoke to Shaun before, and I think West Ham away is one of the most difficult, one of the difficult rounds we could have got, because they're in a really, really good form at the minute. They're at home, and so I think I'll be interested to see what their team is, and then have a better idea of which way the game will go, because that is very strong, and we can also make changes, and it'll have the same balance to it. Again, we're guessing who's going to be through the middle, or who's going to be left, who's going to be right. Will Palmer will actually start. And what we've seen of him already, his balance, his ability to receive the ball in tight areas, again, is a reflection of the way City play. You've got to be able, first and foremost, be able to handle the ball and move the ball and make sure you keep it. Once it comes to you, make sure City have still got the ball after that. And it's strong, but be interesting to see what West Ham go with.
Yeah, so Cole Palmer, Shaun, we're so excited. And Andy talked about him so lovely there, and I'm so excited to see him starting, because we've seen glimpses of him. He played in the Wickham game in the previous round, and of course scored.
Yes.
Then we had the wonderful stories from him from a couple of weekends ago when he came on off the bench and then went over the road and played a full game for the EDS. We're seeing his goal here now for against Wickham. What are you making of him? Just give us a chat about him.
I really love this kid, and here's the reason why. When I first saw him, I thought this kid can play. But there you see a situation where he has a player on his right, where he can roll in and say, go on, have a strike. But he's actually taking that ball and taking the responsibility on him, and no, this is what I do. I train with the first team. I'm with the first team. I need to show Pep this is what I can do. And he's just accustomed to getting in these positions and caressing the ball in the corner. He also, as Andy said, takes the ball in loose tight areas. I love him when he's sort of driving forward, because he's got a nice little dribble on him. And I just have this. I love left footers, because I just think they do things a little differently. Maybe because my left foot was absolutely average, but watching him, he's got a lovely left foot, and I want to see more of this kid, because again, he's really impressive.
So played in the Wickham game, starts tonight. Huge opportunity for him tonight, Andy. Obviously, he's been talked up quite a lot in the last few weeks with some of his performances for the EDS and for the first team. This really is a really huge opportunity for him this evening, isn't it?
It is, because it's a high-profile game, and it's something where it's not chucking it in, with and having a little look at what he can do. We know what he's capable of, but what he needs to do now is to maintain the standards he's set, and that's in every department. That's the way he carries himself in the change room, the way he carries himself on the trip towards the game. The staff and everybody will be watching all the youngsters and just seeing how they deal with pressure, how they react. But when he's on the pitch, he seems to play with a real freedom. And he drops his shoulder very much like Mahrez. He drops his shoulder. You don't know when it's coming, but you know it's coming. And he's exceptional at buying himself half a yard. And, with the example he has with Mahrez and Foden, he's... it's great, and it's also positive for everybody else, that there is a pathway there for the young players to come through, and when the opportunity comes and the manager believes that they're right to come in, he's got no worries about sticking them into the first team.
I'll just piggyback on that. You said exactly. The man trusted him, and he knows the man trusted him picking him. So he's going to want to run through the wall. He's going to want to perform. He knows that he deserves to be out there, and he's going to want to show the manager, yeah, I'm good enough to be here. And if Pep Guardiola's picking you to play, you want to prove him right in that decision. Again, we see here, just caressing this ball in the corner. This is what this kid is about, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this kid. The only downside for him is the quality that we have in front of him. But when we see him come in games, I don't feel we'll be let down. I just think this kid, as Andy said about the pathway, is had that upbringing at City and understands what it is to be a City player.
And how will this affect, do you think, his teammates back, his EDS teammates, seeing him go through, seeing Phil Foden, now Cole Palmer developing, going through the pathway, Andy, which is I know is a term that you very much like. So how would this be to see him starting for his teammates in the EDS?
Absolutely. It's the dream of every young player. I remember myself watching the first team play and just longing to get that first game where I could say I've actually played now. I'm a professional footballer. And the way Foden Foden has dealt with, the pressures that came along and the way he's been protected by the club and by the manager. And this player, he looks as if he's got the same qualities and the same attitude and the same mindset. And great for people behind to see that the opportunities are. And you need one thing, you need talent. You need to be good enough to break into the team, when it's not a case of, trying to get players on to show, look, we're bringing players through. No, they have to be ready. And that there's a respect for the squad and the strength of it. Make sure you earn that right to be on the pitch, and it's not just something about ticking a box and saying, oh, we're bringing players through. And what they have done is shown that when they've come in, they've shown they're good enough. The manager's right, he believes in them, and a great pathway for the rest of the young lads as it's coming through the programme.
So that's the thoughts so far of Andy Morrison and Shaun Goater. If you would like to ask them a question, you can send them a WhatsApp. Send your questions in via WhatsApp. The number is on the screen now, and I will try and get through as many of them as we can, either now at half-time or at full-time. So feel free to pick their tactical brains or just ask them something you've always wanted to know about them. That's absolutely fine as well. So you can use the WhatsApp number that is on your screen now. So apart from Cole Palmer, Shaun, who else in that starting 11 do you think this is a great opportunity for? Who needs this tonight?
Opportunity, I would say, looking at my centre back, Eke, I think it's a good opportunity for him to put in. The last game he played, if I'm right, I think he scored, came up for a set piece. Again, put in a solid performance, just to remind. Because right now, I think for City fans, they're thinking Laporte, Diaz, they're thinking Stones are the three. And he needs to interrupt that somehow. And the only way he can interrupt it is when he's having these games now and putting on a great performance. So I think, again, don't do anything that you don't normally do, but just have that solid game that puts in Pep's mind. I can trust him.
In terms of Fernandinho, Andy, I love it when he starts now, because with the greatest respect, I feel like we are seeing our last season of Fernandinho, our last sort of number of games that he's going to start in and play in now. He's the club captain. He's been with us for so long. He's such an influential player, such an amazing guy off the pitch as well. So it's wonderful to see him starting today.
It is. I don't think there's anything I can say that I haven't already said in the past. What an outstanding individual, the way he carries himself, the way he's carried the team in many ways, with the way he conducts, his business on the football pitch. And he's a leader, an out-and-out leader. He has incredibly high standards and demands on himself. And, you alluded there to him maybe being his last season. When you're a warrior like he is, you want to make sure that you're remembered at going out at the very top, and you're also playing at the top of your game every single time. And he never lets us down. And again, I think when it comes to reading situations and sensing danger, I think he's the best. With Makaleli and there's other names along the line. But for me, and I have got my tinted glasses on a little bit, but for me, he's been the outstanding holding midfielder. And in the last 2 or 3 seasons, you started to see the pundits actually saying this is a special, special player who's been at the very top. Has led this club for a long period now, and rightly gets the applause. When he's in the team, and he won't let us down tonight. He'll be exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, Fernandinho, Andy's absolutely right. What can we say that we haven't already said? I mean, again, what I like of as a holding midfielder is he does that defensive role brilliantly. But as a defensive midfielder, he also possesses that diagonal pass that just puts your team on the break. So you go from you're just in possession in your defensive third to then him receiving the ball, and you heard people talk about break the lines. He just goes with a cute 40-yard pass to the wide player, and then away we go in the final third. And again, his standards are absolutely brilliant. I love watching him play because, again, he makes the role and the position look so easy. And if you ask him, I think he's got another 2 or 3 positions. And for me, a clue when someone's at the end, a lot of errors happen for them. Several games. I've not watched him this season. I went, I think he's got like another season at least in him.
Than Shaun,
yes, I do. I absolutely love him because I think he's a brilliant, outstanding performer, and his standards are there. And you heard from the players. The players respect the levels that he sets and how they talk about him.
Oh, I hope so. After David Silva and then Sergio Aguero, I'm emotionally drained saying bye to these legends. I'd love a season where we don't have to say bye.
We're not saying bye.
No,
not
good.
a year.
We don't want to say bye. We don't want to say bye. So, in case you missed the news so far, if you're just joining us, welcome. Cole Palmer starts for Manchester City this evening. On the bench also is Samuel Dozie. So they're the two youth players that make the squad for tonight's game. So the Carabao Cup has often been used as an opportunity for youth players to get a game, to appreciate what it's like to be in the first team squad. In the Wickham game, we had 6 of the youth players that played. We had Egan Riley, Wilson Esbrand, Burns, Mbete, Lavia and McAtee. Now, last night, a lot of them played in the Papa John's Trophy, which they were beaten, Shaun, to your other team, Rotherham, 5-0. Now, if you do want to watch that game, you can see the full game on the City app. Really disappointing result for them. But if we're looking at the Wickham game and the opportunity, it is brilliant to have something like the Carabao Cup where these young players are getting an opportunity, Shaun.
Yes, it's so important that they have these opportunities. Believe it or not, though, they learn a lot from a loss. Because if you're winning, yes, you can, in terms of your growth and how you improve, you are able to move forward. But I always found that myself, after loss and dissecting the game, that my following game or games was better because I was able to look and reflect. So the odd loss is not a bad thing for these players. And our academy, because they're so good, they very seldom get these losses in. So having a loss, but again, the Carabao Cup's a brilliant opportunity for these players. And again, I've never sensed that Pep's been a soft manager. He doesn't put players in just to put them in. He puts them in because he believes that they deserve to be in. I remember seeing Natalie Pike early part of the season, really impressed with him in terms of a right-footed player playing on the left. But I can see there's some elements of where he will improve, and with listening to the coaches, we look at him again in 6 months, and we see again another elevation of his game, and this is where these players will improve. But great opportunity. We're talking, 6 players then having the opportunity, and they'll be inspired because they'll look at the Cole Palmer and Foden and look at these players and say, there's a chance. Pep believes in young players. Why not? Why can't it be me? So if I'm one of these kids, I'll be hugely motivated and thinking, I need to perform whenever I get the chance. Whether it's 10 minutes, 90 minutes, I want to perform and show that I deserve to be given the opportunity.
I absolutely love these clips. I love seeing the youngsters. I enjoyed that Wickham game so much, seeing the development of them. Andy, what do you make of the Carabao Cup as an opportunity for like they had in the Wickham game for the youth development?
I think it's got to be selective, the games. There's a great opportunity there. They've watched them, or they looked at the strength of Wickham and where, we don't want to lose a game of football with the record that the football club have in this competition. The manager will not go into the game thinking there's a chance here that we won't, that we might come up short, and he'll believe in them. The standout thing for me was it was defenders that got an opportunity. You normally look to play maybe a wide man or a striker. It's easier for them because if they give the ball away, then it's not highlighted. A defender makes a mistake and they score, it's highlighted. That could knock them back a little bit at that age. But the belief that they could go in there with that many changes and give them opportunity. Obviously, there's enough in training to know that we're playing Wickham tonight. These lads can deal with it, and it'll be a good lesson for them. Going back to the Rotherham game last night, it's the physicality is the difference. It's the physicality, and I don't know what the Rotherham team was, but if it's big, physical, strong players who understand the game, understand the positioning, understand how to pin, how to press, then that'll be new to them because they won't be getting that week in, week out. It'll be passages of play starting from the back. It'll be the same every week. There'll be patterns will be building up through that. They won't go and head many balls. But in a game like that last night, they put a big striker up front. It's totally different for the centre half to have to deal with that, and it's great for their development. And the manager spoke about that afterwards. It was Akin. Yeah, was it was a great test, and he wished that they could play against that every week because that's what they need, is to feel that physicality, because that's what's coming in big games, and the set plays are huge, and you need players that can head a ball and are strong, which we will need tonight.
Absolutely brilliant point you make, because the clip we shared was Zach and Fanwa, and it was the centre half, and Akinfenwa was down as one of the strongest players in the league. I mean, I don't know when we started rating the player strengths, but he's one of the strongest players in the league, and we're seeing the centre half there that was jostling with him, to sort of win that ball. And looking at the centre half, our centre half, he didn't look the biggest, but he's won that battle against Akinfenwa, who's a powerful player. So this just goes to show you that when they get that mix of being able to have the intelligence of play along with the physicality side, then you got the ultimate balance.
I'm telling you, Akinfenwa's got nothing on Andy Morrison, by the way, Sean. If there's a strength competition.
He could pass a good 50-yard pass. Just never to me.
So we're getting loads and loads of questions coming through on WhatsApp. Usually we don't go to them straight away, but I want to because there's so many brilliant ones and I want to hear what the gents have to say. So thank you for sending your questions, and you can keep doing that on WhatsApp and we'll try and get as many answered as we possibly can. So, Sean, Mark has said, your left foot wasn't average, mate. I kissed you on your head when we beat Wigan on our way to Wembley. Say hello to Andy from me and we will win. Will we win the Carabao Cup again this year? Love from MCFC Mad Mark.
Hello, Andy. We will, certainly. I feel we will. Pep takes this competition serious. In fact, he takes it serious that other clubs are now starting to take it serious. And you could see with our squad, that, Pep wants to win this game. We've got 9 changes coming there, but again, the quality players. We've got some youth in there who are deserving of this role in this position. So you see them perform exceptionally well. So watch today.
Thank you. Did lots of people used to try and kiss your head back in the day?
Yes, I told them it wasn't a match ball. I missed too many.
Right, great question from Frank Rawley. Thank you, Frank. Saying, evening, guys. Just want to ask the lads, who's the one player that you'd like to play with in our squad now? That's from Frank in Failsworth.
Oh, easy. Stafford, Walker, Stones, Zinchenko, Aki,
Fernandinho. One.
One. Every time I'm asked this question, it feels as though, listen, it's KDB. The guy, he just seems to find players, and being a striker, I suppose Andy will probably have a different player being a defender, but for me, KDB, Kevin De Bruyne will be superb to play alongside. I don't know. What about you, Andy?
There's so many there. My favourite player of the last decade, Fernandinho. But I'd have to go with Diaz. Because I've seen him communicate, and it was a huge part of my game was communicating and organising and the what ifs, and it's a part he plays, and it'd be great to be alongside him.
I'll be wearing earplugs. I'll be like, you two, you both play. Just shut up.
I don't think we'd be left exposed. That's for sure, because his leadership qualities, his voice are of somebody. I captained his football club when I was 28. For him to be so young and I've carried that armband this season shows exactly just how high he's held.
What a partnership that would have been, Sean.
But you see even the influence. I mean, the influence he's brought. Because again, I remember he would make a tackle or save something going out for a corner, and then he would high five, Walker, whoever it may be, and that's just going through the team. And you see other teams, and they're going around the high fiving now, and you think you weren't doing that until you saw Diaz do that. But he's brought that team togetherness. That every little bit helps, and it's like celebrate stopping a goal, celebrate stopping a corner. Or a one-on-one situation, and I love that because we don't often think of those as important things, but they are huge.
And as fans, we absolutely love it. I absolutely love it when they celebrate together, when they pat each other on the back, when they high five, especially when they're like celebrating blocks and challenges. Absolutely, yeah, love it. In fact, I think we should steal the high fiving. So at the end of the show, I think we should try and remember just high five each other and celebrate a wonderful show. So we've got another question in from Alex Stafford. And Sean, do you think Mahrez will score in today's game against West Ham? I do. Yes, I do. Do you, Sean?
What's his name again?
Alex.
Alex, yes. I would go on more, but for me, I think Mahrez is a key player. He is really, I love him as a wide player. I think he's now starting to add more goals to his game, his assists. He throws in a quality ball out wide. He sells me the dummy watching him. When I'm watching him, he's just that quality of a player. So for me, he's a key player tonight. I would have Mahrez scoring a goal tonight. So you heard it here first.
Oh, you love the camera. The camera loves you, Sean. Andy, Mahrez tonight, do you think he might score?
He'll get opportunities, such as
get off defence.
such as his quality. Then ultimately, he'll get opportunities to score, and Yeah, if the moment's right and it's meant to be, he'll get a goal. But it's again, it's we spoke about him, his ability to drop his shoulder and come inside, and then if you sell yourself, he's got the step over again. He comes back onto his right. An exceptional player for me, the best one-on-one in the areas, coming from wide areas that there is. Because if you do stay away from him, he's got the ability to actually feel the ball onto a striker who can get in between lines. He's been very, very good. And will he score a goal, Shaun? You say yes. I say I'd hope he get one.
I'm going to say two. I love Riyad Mahrez. 2-1, maybe. So thank you so much for all your WhatsApp questions. Do keep sending them in. We will get another opportunity to ask them. So yes, thank you so much for sending in your questions. Right, we're going to have a look at the West Ham 11. Gents, would you like to do the 11, Shaun? Would you like to do the West Ham team, or Andy?
Shaun, you do it.
Dropped you in it there, Shaun.
Areola, Johnson, Dawson, it's Diop, Cresswell. No, I need help with this one.
Masuka,
yes, Masuka, Souček, Noble, Lanzini.
Vlasic.
I was about to say that. Vlasic.
And Yarmolenko.
Got to keep him quiet. Subs, Andy?
Yes, it's a team in here.
There's a team here.
Randolph, Ashby, Sufel, Zuma, Baptiste, Chesters, Fornals, Benrahma, and Bowen.
So that is your West Ham squad for today's game. Looking down there and immediately seeing no Mikel Antonio is what I am taking from that team sheet. Benrahma on the bench, but obviously still some big names in that starting 11. We know how good Souček is. But no Antonio, Shaun, that's the big news for me.
It is. My mind sort of goes back to when we played them. He scored a superb goal against us, but he's got a lot of confidence in himself. So this is a huge boost for us. It's funny because City don't set up a team worrying about the opposition. So Pep's team talk is not about who's out of the team or who's in the team. It's about our game. But sitting here as a fan watching the game. That's good news for City because he again is a threat. He scores goals. He leads the line very well and he's a confident player. And if I'm right, I think he's their top goal scorer. Probably has around 4 goals. So for me, that's good news that he isn't involved. But Lanzini, Yarmolenko, these sort of other players need to be kept in check. I don't know about yourself, Andy.
This is the Mikel Antonio goal from last year. Wow, Shaun.
Well, listen, as a centre forward, this ball here. That strength to hold Diaz, because normally your centre backs will probably somehow get a footer on, but that shows you the power and the strength of him. But then the quality of skill to surprise our goalkeeper there with that side volley, overhead. There's a sort of an in-between overhead, side volley. Brilliant finish. And it's one of those, at the end of it, I couldn't even complain about the marking. I just went, that's an absolute brilliant goal. I mean, did you think it was wrong, anything with the marking? Because I thought it was just a brilliant goal. It's
something that we're going to have to deal with tonight. These are very, very dangerous on set plays. They're exceptional. And the delivery is great. And the movement, the aggression, and in Dawson, they've got, for me, one of the outstanding attackers of a ball that I've seen in the last few years. Interesting on the corner, what they've actually done there, which is clever. They've gone with a short corner, which has pulled 3 City players out, which then leaves a little bit more space in the box. It's not so congested. And again, great strength. And it is a massive plus for us that he's not in the team. But what you must be mindful then is there's always this, you have an alertness and awareness with the players coming in, and we know he's bang on form. And when he's not in the team sheet, you can come off a little bit, 10%. But Yarmolenko on his day is an exceptional footballer. So we've got to make sure that we're mindful. Yes, Antonio's not playing, but the rest are still very dangerous.
I just want to pick up on something you said, so it's not missed at home. You said they had 3 players go out for the corner, which means that there are less numbers in the box when the cross comes in. So it's essentially sort of 3v3 or 4v3.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
And so with that bigger space, they obviously are convinced and feel good enough that those 3 or 4 players that are in the box are all capable of winning their one-on-one battles for cross. Meaning, if it comes in the box, whoever their attacker players are being marked by, they're going to win. And So that is he's just give you some pro information. So kids, pay attention
you are as
to
well,
that.
though. I love it. It's so interesting.
Pay attention to that. So by having those numbers outside the box, it gives more space to make runs and maneuvers, and harder than to mark, because you're not got so many bodies there, and they trust and believe that they're going to win their one-on-one duels. So this is probably why their goal ratio on set pieces is very decent.
So interesting.
Well, I didn't want Andy's point to just go amiss because it was very good. It was
teamwork
very good.
in here. It's teamwork. We'll do some high-fiving at the end. Teamwork. Now, I'm just having a look at the West Ham team that played versus Spurs, and I think I'm right in saying that they made 8 changes for today's game. So I'm getting only 3 of the players that started for Spurs that are starting tonight as well. Now, obviously, West Ham are on an incredible run in the Premier League. They beat Spurs at the weekend. They're playing some brilliant football. To be honest, gents, I'm really surprised they've made so many changes. This is, as you said before, Andy, one of the toughest draws that we could get. They beat Manchester United in the last round. What do you think? Is there a statement? Is there something in the fact they've made 8 changes?
I think it's the manager's belief in his squad that players are going. And listen, we're looking at the team there, and it's strong. It's still strong. And set plays are going to be massive for us tonight. John Stones is going to have to be huge. Fernandinho, who plays as a springer, normally attacks the ball while other people sort of block people off. And but there's enough threats in there. And enough good players to cause us problems tonight. The manager, is it the most important thing to him? No. When you look at the run they're on, you look at where they are, position in the league, they're kicking on again from last season. So to lose to Manchester City, you put your best team in, the odds will say you're going to lose. So protect them players. And Saturday's game, by Friday, it'll be forgot about. It's what City do. They beat us, and they'll be concentrating on the Aston Villa game, which is far more important to them.
Andy, I think Andy and I think alike, because when I look at their team sheet and I look at ours, the only concern in terms of if I were to say that if they were to score a goal, I look at our players and they have size. They have that height and size in their players. And I look at Walker being somebody that's decent in the air. I look at Stones. I look at Ake and Fernandinho. And then I can't say Zinchenko is bad in the air, but is he competitive enough to be marking a 6'2" player? Because they're going to have at least 6 players that are 6'2" that are coming in, and as Andy says, they're going to probably have a tactic that will allow players to be outside the box so that they can get these 3v3s or 4v4s inside the box, knowing that they're all 6'2" and dominant in the air. So I think part of Pep's plan would be not to be giving up corners, not to be giving up free kicks in the final third, and if you do see free kicks, you'll see City keep that high line so it isn't a direct header that goes in. It has to be a header down and then the second ball to be scored. So, this, I think Andy and I are thinking alike, that if City were to concede, that's not to say West Ham are a good footballing team. They're capable of scoring a goal in open play, but I see it more from a set piece as well.
Thank you so much, gents. I really, really enjoy the tactical talk that we have with you. Right, we're now moving on to Andy Morrison's favourite part of the show. It is Cryptic City. Honestly, last midweek's game, Andy and I were so furious at the Cryptic City. It was the Bruges game. We played unbelievable, and we sat for the whole second half getting mad that we couldn't work it out. So, if you've not played this before, you're going to see 4 pictures on your screen. You need to say what you see. Put the pictures together to name a current or former Manchester City player. So, let's have a look at this week's Cryptic City. Send your answers, send your thoughts, send your abuse to the producers because you can't get it into #ManCity. So, say what you see, gents. What can you see, Shaun?
I just see a loot. I'm trying to think what you call them. Buggy,
Now, I'm telling you, my son's got one of those. That is a Little Tykes car.
Okay.
That is the brand name, if we're allowed to say that. Is a Little Tykes car.
I'm not sure what the second one is, and then we've got the television TV.
I'm telling you, that's the programme Lost, because I used to watch that I've not seen this. That is the programme Lost.
Lost. Okay. Well, I'm like Andy last week. I'm lost.
Andy, what are you
don't rely on me.
At the end?
What have we got there? Is that TV or a microwave?
I think a TV, a
Right,
really
TV.
old-fashioned
And
TV.
then we got
What chance have we got, eh?
And then we got Tommy Cooper, just like that. So, no, I haven't got a clue, but we'll work on it.
What's
we'll
the
work.
name of that hat? Is that a fez?
It's a fez.
Is that a fez? Is that what that hat is?
Yes.
Because you know what they're like? It probably isn't Tommy Cooper, it's probably the hat.
Or a hat, yeah.
Yeah, or the hat. I feel like it's a fez. So we had a TV fez. That's not a name,
Still
is
haven't
it?
got.
I can feel frustration arising already. I've only just seen it.
Lost. Tight clost.
Well, I'm sorry, my frustration is waving out.
Oh!
Oh, I'm so glad I've got you on my team.
I don't think you just heard that.
Hey.
I think, have I got it there? Oh, I've got it! Yes! Yes!
High five!
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
There you go. We got
Yes,
it. Teamwork.
I got it.
My contribution of nothing helped.
I'm so proud of myself right now. Honestly, Andy, after last week, I'm so happy. So if you know what the cryptic city is, use the hashtag Man City, and you can keep sending in your questions to WhatsApp for the gents. The WhatsApp number is going along on your screen now. So send in your questions and send in your guesses for Cryptic City. So proud of myself. Now, somebody else that I'm so proud of is Raheem Sterling. Ballon d'Or nominated Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem absolutely loves playing against West Ham, so I am thrilled that he is starting tonight. Gents, I've got some brilliant stats for you.
Go on, give us the stats.
Yes,
Stato.
In the 16 matches that Sterling has played against West Ham, he averages at least 1 goal or 1 assist every single game. 8 goals, 8 assists so far against West Ham. What a stat, Shaun.
Yes, it is. And he will be looking at him. I think he'll be really excited and looking forward to this game, because you do remember the games or the teams you score against and score consistently against, and also with the assists. So
do you? When you were a player, did you know teams that you consistently scored against?
Oh, yes. I mean, with that sort of stat there, he knows if he shows up against West Ham, he's either scoring or assisting. That's just a fact with Raheem Sterling and West Ham. So he's aware of that. So that'll be a fixture that he comes round to and goes, I hope I'm playing in that game. I want to be playing. I got to make sure I'm playing, because I know that's a chance that I can be scoring or I could contribute to someone else scoring. So he'll be absolutely buzzing. And looking at those little clips with him warming up, I just sense a little energy in there. So I think he'll be looking at this game and thinking, yeah, okay, this is one where I get off in terms of scoring goals, or I'm assisting and I'm playing a huge part.
One of our most important players, I would say, over the last 4 seasons, Andy, without a doubt. Perhaps going through a little bit of a dip right now, I think we could all agree. So perhaps this, after Shaun says, he's going to give him confidence knowing he's playing West Ham, perhaps this is a perfect game for him to start to get that confidence back up.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think he'll ever lack confidence. Players, the way they carry themselves and his belief of what he's done over the years. He'll always be able to recall on that. And it's about scoring when those chances come. If he gets one to be up and running, it feels like that a little bit of late, that nothing's really fell. They've been blocked. Keepers are pulled off. Unbelievable saves. You get into that little run at times, and you just need a scrappy one to go in, and you're up and running again. But when he's at his best, the fear he puts into opponents in the box, the way he drives at people, it opens up avenues for other players. And that's why he had so many assists.
He's definitely a man that knows what pressure is as well.
Yes.
Obviously, the way he joined from Liverpool under so much pressure, Shaun. So I'm sure he'll be coping.
Oh yes, listen, and he showed up for me. He has showed up in the big games. He's always been able to produce some serious, goals in big games, and you see some of those sort of stats there on the screen. And I think tonight will be one of those games where he wants to get himself back going, because they weren't too long ago. He was on our lips in terms of the conversation when we were talking about, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. These are the best players in the world. And then Raheem started to come into that conversation. So I know he would want to personally get back into that conversation. Like, no, I need to be part of that conversation. And the kid's still young. So I think tonight we'll be seeing Raheem really pressing in terms of trying to score a goal and also assist. So I think it'll be a good performance from Raheem tonight.
These stats are absolutely incredible. When you see them so flat out laid out in front of you, the amount of appearances, how consistent he is with these appearances. Look at that, 46, 51, 52, 49. He's playing in pretty much the majority of our games. I think we played, was it 60 games last year or something? Look at those goals, 23, 25, 31 goals in that 19-20 season. I think that was the season you're talking about, Shaun.
Yes. I mean, absolutely hot, and what I liked, I saw like this progression of things with him, but a couple things. One was him scoring goals on the far post, coming in the back door, whereas he well, since coming to City, he didn't really have those number of goals. He would be probably more about assisting. But since he's come to City now, you see him coming in on the back door, far post, and getting those tap-ins. He probably gets, in that season where he scored 31 goals, he probably scored 7 or 8 goals just being on the back post, because a ball's coming across, fizzed across, he's on the back post, and he's there able to just tap it in. Just able to tap it in. So I'm really pleased with, I'm really looking forward to him, because I think he'll be wanting to, again, be part of that conversation where why are you not talking about me in regards to Messi's and Ronaldo's best players? So, you know, that talk about the Ballon d'Or, he'll be wanting to get back to that form, but his form generally at the club, it's been, for me, it's been absolutely brilliant. So the confidence will come back, and I think we'll start seeing some of that tonight.
Oh, I hope so. I'd absolutely love for him to get back to that 1920 form. One of the 30 nominated, as you say, for the Ballon d'Or, Shaun, alongside, so 5 Manchester City players nominated: Phil Foden, Riyad Mahrez, Ruben Diaz, Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne, the 5 City players nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Can we talk about him as a man as well, please, Andy? I think, you know, there's been a lot of focus on what he does on the pitch. But for me, a lot of the time, what he does off the pitch is just as, if not more, special. He seems like a thoroughly decent person.
Yeah, I think so. You know, he's a role model in so many ways. He has a presence about him. You know, he's not Diaz, 6'3", but Raheem has a presence and has a voice that people listen to. And he's carried himself, and you know, he's been an ambassador in so many ways for so many years now. And you know, from speaking within people within the club, you know, the other players really respect him because of the way he conducts himself. You know, he seems to be. He's always analysed, you know, over-analysed at times, and it never seems to affect him. You know, he plays his football the same way, he carries himself the same way, and he seems a very humble man. You know, I've not been not enough to have met him, but, you know, from a humble background, upbringing, to be determined as he has to get to where he is, you've got to have immense qualities to come through all those challenges, and like I said...
The mental toughness as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you know, to have the questions asked of him, and you know, when he came to City, it was a significant fee, and has he paid that back? Oh yes, he has. Absolutely, more than twice. You know, we couldn't come up with a number with the goals he scored and the way he's improved. Yes, at the minute in time, the goals aren't going in. The energy is still there. The desire will still be there. He's still a very proud man. He wants to go out and show what a good footballer he is. But at the minute, it just doesn't seem to be, you know, scoring the goals that he was.
I love his story so much. I find his story so emotional as well, Shaun. You know, during the Euros in the summer, when we were hearing a lot about him, and he grew up not far from Wembley, which we know is, you know, is a fairly deprived area of the country. And then he was playing in the final of the Euros. He's just an inspiration to so many. And you know, when he had his son, he lifted his son over the. I was in bits. In bits, Shaun.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can imagine wanting to play so well, because again, being raised, brought up a stone throw away from Wembley, and then his journey to see that he's playing on the biggest stage. And for me, you know, he just performed. And there's so many kids around the world that look up to him. Mm-hmm. And as Andy said, you know, how he conducts himself. You know, he's not out there saying this and that in an arrogant way. He just goes about his business. Just goes about his business in a professional way, and I think whether it was planned or not, but I think he brought stuff to everyone's sort of attention, and since that point there's been a leadership from him, and so he's, you know, City have something like 3 captains and 3 or 4 captains. If one player is out injured, etc., then it's Fernandinho. Diaz, Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne, and Raheem Sterling. So he hasn't got that. I think players have voted for that. You know, they ain't just felt sorry and went, well, just give it to him.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's how you conduct yourself, and players respect that, because I'm embarrassing. I had a hell of a lot of respect for Andy, because as a leader, he was a leader. I always rib him and all that, but he was an absolute leader on the field. And so, but as a player, if you're voting for who your captain's going to be, you're not just saying, I'll give it to him to be sorry. They're voting for Sterling because he has the maturity, he has the leadership, how he carries himself, all those qualities.
And he, apparently as well, he has a great sense of humour as well, Shaun, I hear. And you often see clips of him around the training ground making everybody laugh. And we just saw the goal there, the West Ham goal, in which we refer to as the Dinky Dinky goal. Because have you heard the story about the training ground speaking to, I don't know if we've got it. Have we got a clip of the train? Right, let's have a look. It's better you watch it than me explain it, but enjoy this.
Go, Dick it! Yeah! Dinky!
So that was the training session before the West Ham game where Pep was saying dinky dinky, and then Sterling goes on the pitch and scores with a dinky.
Yeah, lobbing the keeper, dinky, chip, lob, similar meaning, just different words, and you could see the joy that the players have, training under Pep, and him being able to communicate dinky as in love it or chip it, because he at the time couldn't get out the English word, so he said dinky, which is brilliant. But we get it. We get it.
We all fully understand. So yes, we love you, Raheem Sterling, and cannot wait for him to get back to that 1920 form, which we're more than sure that he will. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Match Day Live. We're going to show you now the two starting 11s for the fourth round Carabao Cup game. So the big news for City is that there is 9 changes from the team that won against Brighton at the weekend. So the starting 11 is Stefan, Walker, Stones, Zinchenko and Ake, Fernandinho, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Sterling, and a start for 19-year-old Cole Palmer. Now, your West Ham starting 11. Now, I make this on a quick look, 8 changes from the team that beat Spurs at the weekend. So, in goal, Areola, then it's Johnson, Dawson, Diop, Cresswell, Masuka, Souček, Noble, Lanzini, Vlasic and Yarmolenko. So that is your starting 11s for tonight's game. Manchester City versus West Ham in the fourth round of the Manchester City Cup. I mean, the Carabao Cup, where we go for our 5th in a row. And we can see some shots there. It's a beautiful stadium, and we have an unbelievable record playing against West Ham. I always love the shots. I always find it fascinating, the shots of the managers, and I always wonder what they're saying to each other. Now, West Ham, Manchester City, a man that has played for both teams and has played with both of my guests in the studio today is Ian Bishop, and we were lucky enough to catch up with him this week.
Well, it's going to be hard to take Man City's hands off their trophy, isn't it? Because they've owned it, and they do own it now. I think that's established. Well, West Ham are. It's 2 contrasting styles also, which I think the counter-attack style doesn't suit City as much, but it is West Ham's new way of playing. I think the times when City have been turned over, it's been by teams who've, they've done that tactic. Leicester, I remember, Wolves, last season sort of thing. So it might suit West Ham in a way, but it depends. Like I say, David Moyes has now got a squad where he can rest players. He's not only having a good run in the Premier League, he's having a good run in Europe as well. So, that's 2 important things for the club. I'm not saying I'm a big, not a hater, but I don't like the way teams have sort of diminished the cup competitions in England. It's great for the youngsters that they get a chance in this competition. But when you're talking about City and West Ham, especially City, it doesn't matter who they put out. It's going to be a strong team, They're not going to let go of that trophy too easily. Although other teams go about putting kids out on that, and people can complain that, it's the depth of the squad. But it isn't just that. We've got some great youngsters coming through as well, that we've already had a glimpse of, that may get a shot, may get a chance. So, I think it'll be tough for West Ham to beat City tomorrow because of the stranglehold that they have on this competition anyway. But I mean, they went to Manchester in the last round and dispatched a very average side.
We talk about Raheem Sterling having a great sense of humour. I always think of Ian Bishop as having an amazing sense of humour. That was Ian Bishop, who of course played for City and for West Ham. Did he have a great sense of humour? I mean, obviously he still does, but back when you played together, Shaun, did he have a great sense of humour?
Yes, Ian Bishop was absolutely brilliant. I mean, there's loads of little stories out there, but Ian Bishop was one of those who we'd sort of go out, the team would go out, and there was one time one of the lads was sort of putting salt into his beer, and he was just like, he zips it and he goes, and he's normally very calm and doesn't get upset, but he absolutely went mental. He's like, you can mess about with my boots, you could take my phone, you could throw it in the water, but don't mess with my ale. So he liked a little drink back then. That was Ian Bishop. But he was a player I really appreciated, because prior to, as obviously you had the Ali Benarabis and Al Barkovic's, but before, Bishop was the player. He was the player that connected good service into me, him and Kevin Horlock. So I really appreciate it. And if we think about it, when you think about the Wembley game, Ian Bishop came on, and that was to settle us down, well, to have us sort of play a little bit more, to try and find some way. But I'm sure Andy probably has a story about Ian Bishop, but he was a character. He was absolutely brilliant.
Oh, do you, Andy?
I don't want to put you on the spot. Maybe, I don't know.
First and foremost, an outstanding footballer. You know, I think anyone who had whose hair is slightly longer in them days has to have a special talent, and he was exceptionally talented. And I didn't know how good he was until I actually joined the club, and then in training sessions I started to see it. And you know, when small sided games, Bish was always the first pick, because you'll keep the ball, and it was very good for me as a centre half. You know, for me, you know, if you haven't seen something very early, then just give it to Bish. He'll look after it and buy you time to get the ball back again. And you know, and as time went on, I started to see the qualities, and perhaps the English game maybe stifled him slightly. You know, in the old First Division and the Championship, it is cut and thrust, and it's frantic, the pace. And Bish was so talented. I was coming back from an injury, and I think Bish was suspended, and we both played against Sheffield Wednesday away. It was like a reserve game. I've never seen anyone. It was like the Harlem Globetrotters. He was that good on the night. The things he did, his awareness, his perception of space and time, his passing range, and any time the ball was played into him, it doesn't matter where, he had the ability to already had a picture in his head, and he would bounce things off. And you know, them players are very, very talented. And we, you know, as time went on again, I realised just how special he was, and he's always in my team. You know, whenever I talk about my strongest 11, Bish is always in there, because you know, he's. I think he went to. Did he go to America at the end, Shaun?
Yeah.
And he was player of the season in the 2 seasons, because that would. I can just imagine him across in Orlando. I can imagine that would be straight up his right up his
Harley
street.
Davidson, he ended up having. I remember seeing him over there once, big Harley Davidson, but that was Bish. The long hair, the helmet on, and the hair coming out,
and a nice cold beer.
Yeah.
That's Bish. Yeah.
Well, you've both been very kind about Ian Bishop. The question is, was Ian Bishop very kind about you? We asked him, who was better, Shaun Goater or Andy Morrison?
I think I can fight Shaun. So I'll leave it at that. Even though I wouldn't swing a punch at the nicest man in the world, right? He was amazing, to be fair. Look, Andy's a born leader, isn't he? And you want him in your trenches, no matter what. But he was actually a better footballer than he was really given credit for. He probably won't say it neither. You know, he could ping a ball. And sometimes me and him would have arguments, like you know, he'd get the ball to the back and he'd ping one 50 yards to kill his feet on the touch, and I'd go, "Give me it, will you? Will you just give me it? Come short for it." But I couldn't fault him, because he did it, and he found them all the time. You know, he was, you know, and then there's one great picture, I think, with him and Stan Collymore, that I'm sort of trying to pull him away, but not 100%, because I know when he lost it. It didn't matter who was around. He was like a Tasmanian devil, you know. But what a fella, honestly, God. You know, and the Goats was, look, he was your saviour most weeks, wasn't he? He was knocking goals in left, right, and centre. And of all the people I've ever met in my life, and don't get me wrong, you sort of tend to drift to players in the dressing room that are similar to yourself. You know, like, if the lad likes a pint, you know, he's going to be with us. You know, and there wasn't many back then that didn't, to be fair. The thing about Goats was, when I'm talking about drinkers and non-drinkers, he's never touched a drink in his life. but he always wanted to be there. He was always the one sitting there with a big smile on his face. It was like our memory.
Yeah.
Thinking our memory. So the next days, when we couldn't remember what had happened, he would be able to tell us, The gaffer wants to see us, what did we really do?
Of course, he was kind about both of you. By the way, I love...
That's Bish right there.
Your faces while you were watching that, I wish everybody could see. Your faces were just pure admiration for him. So is that true, Shaun? Were you the memory?
I was, and they just said, don't remind me what I did. Don't remind me. I'm here training, and that's it. I mean, we went away to Lanzarote. Bish came down training in a robe and slippers. We're like, Bish, we're training in 10 minutes. That Bish was absolutely brilliant, and as Andy said, what a footballer! He was absolutely brilliant, and he's right, because Andy would knock those passes and bypass him, and Bish was that quality player that connected the dots, like easy balls into me that allowed me to have confidence or stay in the game rather than a fighting ball. But yeah, Bish is absolutely right. Yeah,
I just think as well, Shaun, and for back-to-back promotions like we did, you need a special group, and there were so many different characters in that changing room. Kevin Horlock, Gerard Vikens away, Cameron himself, Paul Dickoff, Richard Edghill, Nicky Weaver. There's so many characters that were in that changing room, and whenever I think of successful periods in football, it's always the changing room and the strength of the changing room. Yes, good coaches, good managers, but such were the characters in that changing room, and I was never in a stronger changing room than that period.
Oh, I get goosebumps when I hear you talk about it. I love hearing you talk about 99. And when you're reeling off those names, what a special, special team. We'll never forget how much we owe you all. Thank you so much. Now, something else that's very, very special to all City fans is City in the Community. And as you probably know by now, City in the Community is celebrating its 35th birthday this month. And they're doing it with an absolutely incredible prize draw. It really is worth you getting involved.
CITC is turning 35.
City in the Community have teamed up with Play Fund Win, the digital raffle platform, to raise much needed funds this season. As well as supporting a brilliant cause, you will also have the chance to win some fantastic prizes, including shirts signed by Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Ruben Dias and Jack Grealish, plus a virtual meet and greet with Jack Grealish, 4 tickets for Liam Gallagher, 4 tickets for Ed Sheeran, 4 tickets for The Killers, 4 tickets for Red Hot Chili Peppers, 4 tickets for the Foo Fighters, plus win 2 Etihad Airways flight tickets to Abu Dhabi and £1,000 spending money.
To enter, simply visit
mancity.com/prize draw to get your tickets, or text City to 85525.
Or scan one of the QR codes around the Etihad Stadium.
100% of profits go to support the work which City in the Community carry out in the City of Manchester.
Play the City in the Community prize draw.
Fun projects for CITC across Manchester.
Win some incredible prizes.
Entries are open now, so what are you waiting for?
From all of us at Man City and CITC, have a great day.
Oh, I love Riyad Mahrez and I love City in the Community. Every penny raised will go towards supporting the charity's new mental health programme here in Manchester. It's just £5 and entries close at midnight on the 31st of October. You can go to mancity.com/prize draw for more information. Do support the incredible work of City in the Community if you can, because they really are fantastic and we are so very proud of them. So you can keep sending in your questions to the WhatsApp number and I will make sure to ask the gents some more of them at half-time or full-time. So we are about 5 or 6 minutes now. The time flies when you're having so much fun. I've just got a couple more stats for you before we go. There is the beautiful London Stadium. Now, we have an absolutely phenomenal record here. So 23 goals we've scored in 6 matches since West Ham moved there in 16-17. We've won 5 of those games and drew 1. That was last season with that Mikel Antonio goal that we saw earlier on. And we've only conceded twice at the London Stadium. That was in last season's draw and 1 in 17-18. So it's pretty lucky for us right now, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. That is incredible stats for 6. Was it 6 wins and 1 draw?
5 wins, 1 draw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and only conceded a couple of goals, which would make us clear favourites, obviously. Yeah.
I love the shots though, great shots. I've never been to that stadium, Shaun, but I went to their old ground a few times and it was always an incredible atmosphere. You would have played at the old ground?
Yes, obviously a lot tighter. I think the only downside with that pitch is the gap between where the stands are. But again, be a phenomenal pitch to play on.
So a couple of minutes now until kick-off. Your second favourite part after Cryptic City, Andy, is when I ask you to predict the score. What's your kind of final thoughts on tonight's game? What sort of game are you expecting, and are you going to give us a score prediction?
Well, we'll certainly control the game and dominate possession. That's a given, and that's not being disrespectful in any way. We will dominate the ball. We got to take our chances when they come, and we have to defend set plays. Not just the first phase, we have to defend the second phase. You know, when players find a yard here and there on that second phase, you're always locked on the first. We deal with them, we win the game. And the score? Both teams to score and a City win 4-1.
Oh, I would love that. I'd love that. Shaun?
You know what? I was sitting there thinking, obviously, with the history that we've got in terms of 5 wins and 1 draw, you made me doubt. I thought today would be a closer one, but now when I hear that, I get this feeling. I'm somewhat feeling like Andy. I'm going to go 3-1. I do think West Ham will score. I'm going to go 3-1. I feel that the players will be well aware that they've got such a good record, but I think this is probably the best West Ham team we've come up against in the last couple of seasons. So I think that'll make it a little tougher. So I'm going City 3-1.
So you usually make me feel more positive, so I'm glad that I got to return the favour. So thank you so much. Thanks so much for joining me, gents. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Matchday Live. We are, of course, back at half-time and at full-time for your instant analysis. Now, if you're currently in the UK, this game isn't on UK TV tonight, so your best option, and no matter actually where you are around the world, your best option is to get your commentary on the Manchester City app. Now, you might be watching us now on the Manchester City app, or you might be watching us across one of the social channels. If you're on the social channels, now is the time to switch to your Manchester City app, which I know you will have. On there, you will get the best Manchester City commentary, bar none. In fact, wherever you are around the world, wherever you're watching it, get your commentary on the Manchester City app. Ali Mann gives the best commentary. We thoroughly enjoy listening to his commentary while we watch the game here in the studio. So that is the place to get your commentary. Then you want to come back at half-time for Will Weir talk about the first half, back to Alistair Mann, and then full-time, back to us where we'll talk about full-time, and hopefully we'll talk about City progressing to the next round of the Carabao Cup. So thank you so much for joining us. You've got a couple of minutes now until kick-off. Get yourself switched over, get yourself a drink and enjoy the first half, and we'll see you back at half-time.